Marcela Vivo, who's an international corporate speaker for ACM Rush, a serial entrepreneur and founder of Griffin, a customizable productivity platform where teams can create a collaborative environment to work smarter, not harder. As an industry veteran with nearly 20 years of digital marketing experience, Marcela travels the world speaking about SEO, data-driven marketing strategies, omni-channel workflow automation, and the evolution of digital. Working with SEM Rush has allowed her to combine her passion and expertise in forward-thinking marketing, analytics, and disruptive technologies. So the speaker is Marcela,
So
if
thank
you
you so
wish.
much for having me today. How's it going so far? There we go. Okay. So today I want to talk to you about how to connect your content marketing by mapping it to the buying funnel. So this is an area that everyone's always talking about, uh, being able to enhance visibility, new tools, and all that. But one area that I find that people are severely lacking in is in being able to connect the buying journey, so to their content, their strategy, and everything they're doing. So a lot of people will decide to start creating content, right? We all do a lot of content, a lot of outreach, but how many of us actually care about whether we're presenting the right content to the right person at the right time? And that's what I want to cover today. And in the process of sharing about this, I will show you some tools that I use to be able to find the best way to map the content to the buying strategy. All right, so I'll just dive right in. This is a little bit about me. I am a marketer for almost 20 years. I started in 1999. This is my family. And currently, I'm working with SEM Rush. I am a corporate speaker and digital marketing analyst. And my job is to travel the world and talk about SEO, talk about SEM, and help people grow their business and grow their visibility online. So, we're going to go through 4 steps in this process of digital marketing. The first one is ideation. The next one is editorial, which is about being able to identify the right content. And then next, we're going to go into amplification, which is how to get your content seen, and finally, how to track the results of your campaigns. We'll start with ideation. So there's a lot of content being produced every single day, but the question is, are you creating that content with your specific audience in mind? So there's 3 primary stages that we look at when it comes to buying stages. We have awareness, consideration, and decision. So at awareness, customers may not even be familiar with your brand and may not even be looking for the product or service that you offer. So your job at that point is to start creating that first touch point and familiarity so that people start to get to know who you are and what you offer. Consideration is the next level, which is they know who you are, they know your product, and they're researching, so they're considering you and your competitors, and they're looking at different price points. And finally, decision, which is you've almost got them. All you need to do is convince them to buy. So the question is, who are your customers? What are they specifically interested in, and what are their pain points? Many marketers make the mistake of focusing on features. It's like, look at my tool, look at my service. It's got this, it's got that, but they forget that people don't care. People are very egocentric, and what they want to know, how is it going to help me? Me. How is this going to solve my problem? And that's what your content and your strategy should be focused around. So the best way to do that is to get data. Google Analytics has a wealth of information available for you. So I pulled in, this is a user report available in Analytics. And what I thought was brilliant is look at the revenue for this. This particular client converted at for $25,000, but there were like dozens and dozens of sessions. So this person came back 1,400 times to research before they converted. And then there were 4 goal completions. We also have a lot of other data in analytics. We have affinity data, we have in-market segment. So this is helping you understand who your audience is. And of course, there's your standard demographics, age, gender. We have here also age. And location, where are they coming from? So once you start gaining this information, the next step you want to do is create your buyer personas. So HubSpot has a great tool that enables you to build these. You're essentially going to go through and start filling out an archetype for each of your buyer personas. You want to add in their background, their demographic, any specific identifiers, and then what you want to do that's a little bit different for most people is to add in the buying stage. So in this case, for example, you see that we have the persona, but we also have what this persona might be interested in at the awareness, consideration, decision stage. So you really want to map each persona's buying cycle and their pain points at each stage of these buying cycles. And it will be very different, very vastly different. Now, when it comes to being able to, once you understand that, then you're going to want to add keywords in. So what are the keywords that each persona is searching for at each stage of the buying cycle? So we have a fantastic tool that will help you to do this. It's one of the newer tools. It's called Keyword Magic in SEMrush that you can type in, and you can see on the left you get a lot of lateral information for lateral keyword searches, and on the right you get the specific ones for each lateral search. There's another one called the Topic Analyzer that will also give you lateral searches, as you can see here. And as you click in, it'll give you more specific information. And finally, this is the Question Analyzer tool where, everyone's talking a lot now about voice and the featured snippets. And with this tool, you can start creating content for each persona at each stage of the buying cycle based on the questions that they're asking about. So in this case, we were talking about Bitcoin as an example. So people may be looking for, like, how much is Bitcoin worth, how to invest, and you want to give them that specific content. You can also use Google, from the horse's mouth. So at the bottom, you have the related searches. You also have people also ask. This is a really good source of information. And once you've got all that keyword data, the next thing is to be able to start building that out based on your personas. Before you start creating your content, though, you also want to add relevant, timely content. So newsjacking is a really strong way to do that, is figure out what's happening in the media and talk about it relevant to your audience and personas. And here's an example. This is from a few months back, but with the Cambridge Analytica scandal, SEMrush took that and created a whole bunch of content around it, and were able to get a lot of engagement from it. So now that you've gotten a lot of the data, a lot of the keyword out of the way, the next stage is the editorial stage. So what content are you going to be producing? How do you optimize it to get the most results from your content? So the most powerful way to do this, and the most strategic, is to create an editorial calendar. In your editorial calendar, you're going to add in 4 primary elements: the buying stage, the buying persona, the content type, and the amplification method. So the first thing is you have to figure out how are you going to produce this content. Is it going to be a blog post? Is it going to be a landing page? Is it going to be an ebook? Is it going to be a series of infographics or social content? So the type of content will determine how you package it. Next, you can use all of this and put it together into the simplest way to do it is a spreadsheet. In this case, you can see here there's the status of the article, the title, the theme, which is an additional layer where you can add, is it for link building, is it a tutorial, the keyword, persona, buying stage, and when it's going to go live. So this basically pulls in all of the elements together. Trello is another great tool to build editorial calendars. You can do it in each of your columns. You have a status, and there's also Power Up that enables you to visualize it as an actual calendar. You can also do an editorial calendar inside of Google Calendar. And SEMrush also, we recently launched a marketing calendar that you can use. So the key is to make sure you're adding all of the elements. So you can see in this video, like, you want to add persona, keyword, theme, and anything else that's relevant, so that every article is specifically targeted based on your audience and their pain points. You're going to get tired of hearing me say pain points, but We really got to move away from me-centric content to you-centric content, meaning focus on the audience, their needs, and their pain points. So now that you've done that, how do you package it, right? So this is where your standard on-page SEO comes in. So very briefly, I just wanted to show what it would look like. So you want to make sure your keyword is in your URL. You want to make sure you add multimedia to help improve your engagement signals. You want to start the title with a keyword, add outbound links that are relevant and authoritative. Make sure your load time is as fast as possible. You want to add your title in an H1 as well, and make sure your keyword is in the first 100 words. Finally, you want to add in also some LSI keyword, which are related keywords, and add all your social sharing information. So in a nutshell, this is like a long version of a page that has all of the relevant on-page elements that you need. Here it is summarized. So in the URL, meta title and description, in your H1 and or H2, in the first paragraph, two to three times in the content, and in the anchor text. And additional considerations with all of the latest trends, you want to make sure the page is responsive, fast, that there's maybe video or maybe strong graphics to keep people engaged, and more than anything, you want your pages to load in under 3 seconds. When people are creating content, one of the questions I get all the time is, how long should my content be? Are we talking about 500 words, 1500 words? One of the tools that we have inside SEMrush is a content analyzer that you add a keyword, and it'll tell you how long the average articles are in the top 10. So this is a really great way, keyword by keyword, for you to determine the best way to formulate your content. And also the SEMrush Writing Assistant. It's a relatively new plugin that came out recently, and you connect that to, if you're writing on Google Drive, and it'll tell you right there as you're writing the content, what's the score, what's the readability, how many words, how are you targeting your words, etc. So it's a really powerful way to make sure you're pulling in the right SEO component as it's being produced. So now that you've got an editorial calendar, you're producing content, the content is optimized, the next stage is distribution, or what I call amplification. Creating a lot of content and just letting it sit on your site is foolish, because there's so much content being produced that it's rare that people are going to make the effort to come and find it. So you really need to amplify your content. So once you publish, unless you're a really massive site, you're not guaranteed an audience. What you need to do is you have to go and create your audience. And there's 4 ways that I'm going to talk about how to do that. The first one is content promotion, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this now, because everyone gets all these emails almost daily, right? So you take an article and you start emailing out to editors, other bloggers, and you let them know about the content you did, and hope that they'll produce it and add it into their content. Here's an example of one that I was able to get before I was working with SEMrush on New York Times by using this method. There's also the guestographic method, which is you produce an infographic, and again, you go back out and you let people know that you have an infographic, you offer it to them, and you also offer them a quote or unique content around your infographic. When you do that, people love well-produced infographics, and they'll be very willing to share it, because not only are you offering them a beautiful graphic, you're also offering them a unique content that's unique to their site that they can also benefit from. Finally, the same concept as infographics, but with video. So if you're producing great explainer videos, if they're informational and catchy and cool, people will also want to embed those on their articles. So if you offer to have them share those videos and give them content to go along with the video, it's a diversified type of content, and not everybody has the bandwidth to produce videos, so they'll be happy to share it. There's 3 other methods that I'll touch upon that are powerful. The first one is paid social amplification, and this is essentially taking your content and amplifying it through Facebook. So not just boosting it, but creating ads around your content. Of course, emailing it out and creating a whole email sequence around your top articles, and retargeting it so that if someone visits your site, you can then start content retargeting, not just sales retargeting, but content retargeting. So now that we went through ideation, you're producing the content, you're amplifying it, you're getting it out there, you're getting links. Now the next step is to measure the results of your efforts. So it's really important to understand how people are reacting. Is this content solving the pain points that your audience has? How are your audiences converting? Is it earning you links and rankings? So you need that data to be able to make strategic decisions and to keep adjusting your campaigns. So there's a lot of data that you can get obviously inside of Google Analytics, also Google Search Console, and there's some more that you can grab inside of SEMrush. So here's your basic KPIs that you can just check to see how your overall marketing strategy is performing when it comes to Google SEO. So you see here sessions, bounce rate, and goal completions. You can also segment and see how each of the channels is performing and which ones are stronger. And you can also, inside SEMrush, you can also see the track your keywords and how they're performing over time. In this example, you can figure out how this is another tool inside SEMrush, the Organic Traffic Insights, and you can see how each page is doing. This one, you can pull in data from Search Console and Analytics and see everything about a page in one place. So you can see how this page, how many shares, how many backlinks, average session duration, etc. We talked at the beginning about your demographic and psychographic data. This is also important at the end when you're tracking the results of your campaigns. And of course, the affinities also become important as you're looking to see how your specific audiences are doing. And we talked about in market segments and geographical, and of course your channels. But the key to all this is if you're marketing through Facebook, for example, Google Organic, Google Search, is how do you determine the performance of each channel? So nowadays, what we see with the proliferation of mobile is that the buying journey is not linear. It's really rare that people are going to sit down on their computer, type a keyword, find an answer in Google, and check out. What happens is a little more like this graphic. So they will maybe get a catalog in the mail, they'll see a banner, or they'll see an ad somewhere, they'll see it online, then they'll hear a radio commercial, then maybe they'll see an ad on TV. Then when they're out walking their dog and just chilling, that's when they might decide to convert. So unless you're conscious of attribution, you might decide that this was a mobile purchase and then say, oh, let's spend more money on mobile. When in reality, mobile was simply the last click. It was just at the time when that person decided to convert. But sorry, there were many other very sorry. There were many other steps that were taken to get here. So these are some of the attribution models that you can check in Google. We have last click, which is the one I just showed you. First click is the one, essentially the conversion would go to the catalog, which is when the person first heard about the brand. Linear is that every one of the touch points gets a percentage. Position based is where the first and the last get attributed, half and half. And time decay is based on how much time has elapsed since each touch point. So looking at attribution data is key to understanding the buying journey. And again, as you understand the buying journey, you understand your personas. And as you understand your personas, you understand what they need so you can sell better and provide them the content at each stage of the buying funnel. So as you understand who they are, what they need, what makes them connect, what makes them tick, then you can influence them and push them from awareness to consideration to decision. So every industry will have a different attribution model, and essentially every business will also have a different attribution model. So you really need to understand your company's, your website's buying journey and monitor that over time. So the data can be very significantly impacted by this. So in this example, we compare three models: last, time decay, and position based. And you can see that there's a 40% difference in how the conversions are attributed, or a 30% difference. So if you're reading this wrong, you might be misallocating your budget and misunderstanding your audience's buying journey. So now that you understand these four stages, you really need to focus on putting these together. So from ideation to editorial, which is creating the right content, amplifying it, which is getting it seen, and analyzing the results of your efforts. Once you put all of this together, you're not just a content marketing rock star, but your sales will get stronger and better because you're getting the better audience insights and better conversions. And this is more information about me, who I am, how to find me. If you have any questions, if you want to connect, I'd love to. So this concludes my presentation.
All right, participants, we request if you have any questions, you may type in. So, yeah. Meanwhile, we are bringing in our our Jamaica Auditorium live to you.
All right, let's give a round of applause, please, for that presentation. And we're opening the floor now for questions. That was the last presentation, guys. Do you have any questions? All right, so we don't immediately have any here, Raj. Do we have any coming in from your side?
Yes. Yeah, this question is from Penny Crow. What are the channels to promote blog post after publishing?
So the first one was based on blogger outreach. So we consider that a channel. The second channel is, of course, social media. So of course you want to publish and promote your content on Facebook. You want to promote it on Twitter. However, because of organic reach and how noisy these channels are, ideally you want to add paid campaigns around them. So attribute a budget to Facebook ads, Twitter ads, so that it guarantees that it's being seen. And there is a trick to doing that, particularly with Facebook, where you can create specific audiences. So for example, you can create an audience of newspaper editors that you push your content to, and that way when they're on Facebook, they're going to see your article, and if it's the right audience, they might end up writing you up on their publication or talking about you on their radio. So the social media channels are the most powerful, but you need to put some budget aside to being able to get that seen by more people.
Okay. So, Marcela, we have another question here. What link building SEMrush specifically use?
Oh, sure. So at SEMrush, our link building is essentially our content. So we're producing amazing articles all the time. If you look at our blog, you see that there's a lot of thought put into every post that we publish. We're also doing a lot of our own studies and research, so that essentially once we do that, then we do use amplification exactly the way I described on Facebook and on social media, on Twitter. We will do blogger and press outreach, but the key is we connect that to fantastic, powerful content. And then what ends up happening is that people talk about us and link to us. So if you look, for example, for our featured snippet study that was released a few weeks back, there's lots of links that came as a result of that. So that's what we end up doing at SEMrush, is really focusing on content and producing the best quality we can.
Okay. So, this question is from Brian. What are the top most challenges?
would say that getting really building data-driven, intent-based personas. So we can create generic personas using some of the data we have, and we can create personas based on our customers, our phone calls. But we haven't yet gotten to the point where we can use all of the data, compile it, and have it produce very specific personas for us. So it's a little bit of conjecture still. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is getting precise data to work with. That will change, I believe, over time as we plug in machine learning and AI. More and more is being done in this space. So with AI, basically, once we get machine learning to process a lot of data, and then we plug in an AI layer, we'll be able to understand the data, and that'll help significantly in being able to understand who we're talking to in a more precise way.
Yes, one last question from Travis. Do you consider do follow or no follow attribution?
Yes. The thing with the follow and no follow is you really need to go back to a natural looking profile. So Google has incredible capabilities. Again, they do have machine learning and they do have AI. So they have the capacity to look at a lot of websites in your space and figure out what's natural and what isn't. So if all of your links, every one of them is no follow or follow either one, it doesn't look right. So what they do is they model what your space, what the normal profile looks like, and they'll get a percentage. And they'll know that, okay, for this type of site, they have the natural looking profile has 32% no follow and the rest is follow. So when you're building links, what I recommend is that you look at your competitors that for the keywords that you're trying to get into, you see what percentage of their links is follow or no follow, and you try to emulate the norm for that space. So in some cases, I've seen it where it's 50-50, in some cases 70-30. It really is specific to the niche you're going after. And you really want to do it based on data, not conjecture. So there's no one who can tell you what the exact formula is going to be because it varies industry by industry. So you really need to study that for yourself.
Okay. All right, Ms. Marcela. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you so much, Ms. Marcela. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ms. Marcela and an even bigger round of applause.